Recording now. All right. 3, 2, 1. Allow me, if I may, to talk about something that interests me quite a bit, which includes three things: nuclear silos, explosions, and the possible catastrophic event that could have resulted in the state of Arkansas being blown up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, it may seem that I'm talking about a fan fiction about Arkansas being blown up by, Soviet spies, but it actually happened in real life. Twice.
And now, a cinematic intro.
Weighing 150 tons,
So before we get into those two accidents to occur in Arkansas, we first need to figure out why there were nukes in Arkansas in the first place. And in order to do that, we need to go back to 1945, the end of World War II and the start of the Cold War. 1945. Mankind's most destructive and deadliest war has come to an end. After 6 long years of total war, the Allied powers, mainly consisting of the United Kingdom, the United States, and the Soviet Union, emerged victorious against the Axis powers. However, historians agree that in this time of joy and celebration, a new, much more different war begins. From the ashes of World War II, the US and the USSR became the world's two competing superpowers. For nearly half a century, these two nations will be locked into a bitter stalemate over ideological, geopolitical, and technological superiority on the world stage. What complicates this stalemate even more is that at the end of World War II, the US unveiled to the world a devastating new weapon that changed the course of human history forever. Product of the Manhattan Project, a top-secret research and development group led by the US, nuclear weapons, or nukes for short, were used for the first and only time in combat during the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The sheer power of the nuclear bomb was so destructive that it completely leveled both cities, leaving nothing but ash and rubble. One of the fathers of the atomic bomb, J. Robert Oppenheimer, famously stated, quote, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." For a while, the US was the only country to wield such powerful and utterly destructive weapons. That was until the Soviet Union tested their own nuclear bomb just 20 days after the bombing of Nagasaki. Now, the two competing superpowers have the capability to wipe each other out at a moment's notice. Ah yes, the 1950s. It was a time when rock and roll was hot, racial segregation was legal, and Ike was president. And also cars. So many cars. And nukes. Cars and nukes. It was during the Wait a minute, I gotta look presentable. Alright, I hope I look a little bit more presentable. Yeah, I kinda do. Alright, where was I? Beep. Eisenhower is special in our quest to find out why there are nukes in Arkansas. And trust me, friend, we'll get there very soon. Mainly because, under his presidency, the Cold War got a little spicy. And by that I mean kinda heated, and by that I mean, well, nukes everywhere. The presidency of Dwight D. Eisenhower was consequential as America's international security policy moved from Truman's policy of containment
and turns out devices to level not only mountains, but also cities.
to a policy of nuclear deterrence
Science seems ready to confer upon us as its final gift
and mutually assured
the power
destruction.
to erase human life from this planet.
Both ideas of nuclear deterrence and mutually assured destruction were included in Eisenhower's so-called New Look policy. The New Look policy placed a heavy reliance on strategic nuclear weapons over conventional ground forces to stop the spread of communism. Eisenhower did this mainly because A, armies are expensive. He just came out of the Korean War knowing this. And B, well, I mean, they're freaking nukes. You know how awesome that is? These so-called strategic nuclear weapons at first heavily relied on B-52s, which were long-range bombers that were equipped with nukes. If you've seen Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove, it's the same. Well, it is the actual thing. It's a B-52. If you haven't seen Dr. Strangelove, might I suggest I don't know, giving it a watch? It's a good movie. It's a classic, you know. It's Stanley Kubrick. Wait, I'm getting off topic. With the advancement of rocket technology, nuclear payloads began to appear on missiles. Starting off with short-range nuclear missiles, the space race produced rockets that are capable of striking a target anywhere in the world, aka the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. One of the longest ICBMs to be in the U.S. arsenal is the Titan II. The sequel. Developed by the Glenn L. Martin Company of California, the Titan II missile program was the upgraded version of the Titan I, hence the Roman numerals. Being able to carry a heavier payload than its older brother or younger brother. I'm not too sure how rocket families, how that would work. Well, they're in the same rocket family. It's a Titan rocket family. But is it older or younger? Means Titan 1. Off topic. The U.S. decided to switch to the Titan II, mainly because of storable fuelage. Being able to store fuel inside of a missile was a huge deal, as it cuts down on the time to have a rocket ready for launch. Which, by Cold War era standards, the faster, the better. Keep this in mind because we'll come back to it later. Out of all the ICBMs in the U.S. arsenal, the Titan II carried the most powerful nuclear warhead, that being the W-53. Also keep this in mind, there are 4 operational units, or wings, in charge of having Titan II missiles at the ready. Those 4 being one at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, one at Davis Monthan It's pronounced Monthan, not Monahan. Air Force Base in Arizona, one at McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas, and one in Little Rock Air Force Base in Arkansas. Now, before you get on me about saying Arkansas, just know that I go to school in, I know it's pronounced Arkansas. I go to school in Arkansas, and I think it's a beautiful place. It's the natural state, But come on, you know I had to make that joke. It was following Kansas. Each one of those wings contained 18 Titan II nuclear missiles. However, the wing we're going to focus on more is the 308th Strategic Missile Wing, located at Little Rock Air Force Base. And it is with this wing where we find 2 of the Titan II missile accidents. The one that people think of first is the incident in Damascus, Arkansas during 1980. Damascus is a small little town just 50 miles north of Little Rock, or 80 miles, or kilometers for you metric users. Weirdos. However, there's little attention given to an earlier incident that happened in 1965. and this one happened near Prankburn, Arkansas. So in making this documentary, I was researching the Damascus incident, mainly because, that's all I knew, quite frankly. However, in my research, I stumbled across a YouTube video about a plaque dedicated to victims. I thought to myself, wait, nobody died during the Damascus incident. I mean, thousands of people could have, but that was a possibility. That wasn't reality. Then I saw the video. The video was talking about another incident, a much more deadlier incident. So when looking at the video and looking at Google Maps, I tracked down where the location was. And it was near a city called Prankburn, Arkansas. This is a bit of a digression, but it kind of relates. So one of my friends, his family owns a lake house, and every other weekend we would go up there, just to, relax, catch a break from, college life, the academic stuff. It sounds like I don't even go to college. But a weekend, I called up my friend. His name's Ian. I said, yeah, hey, Ian, you want to go hunt down some nuclear silos, dude? And so during Halloween weekend, we actually got out there. We found the plaque, and, well, we just took some footage. So here's the footage. Heads up, the audio is going to change. Different mic. It's not this nice, cool mic I have in front of me. It's a little lapel mic. Anyways.
I forgot the words. In the dunes of the cave, what you look for? Word to me and escape. Wow.
Right down the street is where one of the earliest and the deadliest accidents to happen to the Titan II missile program. On August 9th, 1965, was a Monday. 55 civilian repairmen were doing maintenance work on the silo. At 1:30 p.m., one of the hydraulic fuel lines was cut by a torch on accident. This caused an explosion and subsequent fire, trapping the 55 repairmen within the silo. Luckily, the fuel line inside the missile did not explode, and also the warhead on top of the Titan II was deactivated due to protocols and safety reasons. Unfortunately, all but 2 of the 55 repairmen lost their lives.
The names on this plaque were people hired locally in Arkansas, although some came from neighboring states like Mississippi, Alabama, even Oklahoma. During the filming at that site, I just could not have shaken the feeling of just utter sadness. Just nearby that plaque, the memorial, 53 people died. And those 53 people had families. One of the survivors, Gary Lay, who was 18 at the time, said this: "All of a sudden, I heard an explosion, saw a big flame of light. Then the lights went out, and I heard people screaming to get to the ladders. Everyone ran for it, and everyone gathered around the ladders. No one could get up." According to Captain Douglas E. Wood, the Director of Information at Little Rock Air Force Base, the rescue workers noted that the bodies of the deceased were piled up around the ladders on the 2nd and 3rd floor of the silo. Outside of the silo, a crowd of about 300 people were gathered around the streets leading to the facility. The chaplain at Little Rock Air Force Base, Captain Michael Romano, told the crowd that there was no hope and that they should go home and rest. With just a year passing since the accident, Silo 373-4 became fully operational again, and so ends the story of the first accident involving the Titan II nuclear missile program. But it won't be the last. Damascus, a small little town along the highway US 65, an average rural town. During the late afternoon hours of a cool September night in 1980, this small rural town will be rocked by an accident involving a nuclear silo. that was armed with the most powerful nuke in the US arsenal. What occurred on that September night was actually pretty simple. An airman stationed at missile silo 374-7 was doing regular maintenance work on the Titan II when his socket wrench fell and punctured the fuel inside the missile. Now you could say, well, Mark, how can you puncture a missile with a socket wrench? To which I tell you, I have no idea. But what I do know is that it was a pretty big socket wrench, and it was falling from pretty high. So if you think about it, the velocity and the mass goes oh, boom. That was a bit of a kind of wacky explanation, but that's essentially what happened. So when you have a rupture in your fuel, storage, you're gonna have problems. Knowing this, the Air Force Security Police quickly escorted civilians out of Damascus, or the surrounding area, that is, and a hazmat team was formed, because that's what you do. The entire operation lasted until the early mornings of September 19th, in which they were trying to figure out what was the status of the missile that had a nuke on it. The most powerful nuke, mind you, in the US arsenal. With the constant leaking of fuel and oxidizers happening within a confined space like a silo, well, the thing just blew up. Sergeant Jeff K. Kennedy and Senior Airman David Livingston were the actual, hazmat crew that was there. They were actually waiting outside for orders when the silo blew up. Reports show that the launch door, which weighed about 740 tons, flew up to 200 feet in the air. And the nuclear missile, the W-53, well, it was found 100 miles from the gate, which is far. Did I mention it's a nuke? Luckily, the safety features and safeguards that were in the nuke itself worked, and it prevented leakage of radiation and quite possibly a whole nuclear blast. A total of 21 people were injured from the explosion and the pickup after it. Unfortunately, Senior Airman David Livingston succumbed to his wounds in the hospital. Vice Commander of the Strategic Air Command, a Lieutenant Lloyd R. Levitt Jr., was criticized for knowingly putting young men like Senior Airman David Livingston and the rest of his crew in danger. A bunch of bureaucracy followed after the explosion, which some could argue that it led to the removal of Titan II missiles. However, the safety reports done after the Damascus incident seems to show that it was all safe and that it was just human error. Despite all of that, by 1987, both of the wings in Arkansas would formally cease operations. And so ends the Titan II missile program. After so many decades of fighting peace through nuclear deterrence, it just went away. Quietly. So why is this all important? Well, mainly in Arkansas. It's important because, well, lives were lost. Not only that, but there were mistakes made, and quite frankly, we could all learn from mistakes. These two incidents also serve as a nation's reminder of the complex relationship that we had with nukes. And with that being said, I hope you learned something new today, or tonight, either or. And I hope that you've, enjoyed this video. It took me a while to do it. It's kind of my first time doing an actual documentary, so please go easy on me. Now, let's roll the credits.